January 12th. This is your notice that this meeting is being electronically recorded. I will call the meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Over the holiday break, the community lost a great leader in former school committee chair Jane Larkin, who served the committee from 1986 to 2005. And so we want to pause to remember her briefly. Thank you. The first item on our agenda tonight is a celebration of the student artwork. And for that, I will start off with by turning over to Assistant Superintendent Regan.
Thank you, Chairman Geddes. So tonight we're honored to have so many students and their families with us to recognize them for their artistic creativity and talent. As their individual pieces have been selected to be in our first art installation in this room. The Francis Zito Conference Room is used by many staff members and members of the city from, or community members from across the entire city. And it truly does make it a very welcoming space and, of course, an opportunity to show off all of the talent that we have in this room and in our schools. So I want to especially thank all of the art teachers that are here tonight for all of their dedication to our individual students and for also inspiring them every single day to showcase and to continue to do what they love to do. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. And with that, I'd like to turn it back over to you, Chairman.
Thank you. And as I mentioned to the families, we're going to call everyone up by school, and you'll be able to collect certificates from each member of the school committee. The certificate reads, the Attleboro School Committee hereby extends its appreciation to student name for contributing to the student artwork display in the Francis Zito Conference Room, for helping to ensure the conference room of the governing body of the Attleboro schools is a welcoming, vibrant, and student-centric atmosphere. The school committee extends its sincere gratitude. Before the meeting started, I commented to the students that the artwork, once again, is absolutely incredible. I often feel badly about how easily I can get distracted by the artwork that's behind the administration. But before we distribute the certificates, I didn't know if anyone on the committee wanted to provide any feedback or comment. Mr. Domenici?
Yeah, thank you. I echo those sentiments, and just based on how many people are in the room to help celebrate tonight, I'm wondering if we need to start doing this in the auditorium because we're running out of space. But that's, to me, is just a great testament to how much artwork we can get in here. And I said it before, and I'll say it again, I still see spaces on the wall, so I'll ask our administration to keep adding up to numbers and bringing more of these students up here to be recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Domenici. Any other comments from the committee? Seeing none, let's give out some certificates. So we will start with Mr. Domenici and Attleboro High School. And I will also apologize if I mispronounce any names. But from Attleboro High School, we have Lori Vieira, Colette Brow, Cohen Maya, Victor Allen, Sedona Gordon, and Emily Smigel.
Colette? Okay.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Anyone else from Attleboro?
We'll get into them.
From Brennan Middle School with Mr. Larson, we have Anna Ducharme, Olivia Leathers, Liv O'Connell, Emma Hogan, and Raven Gertrude. Excuse me. From Quello Middle School, with Mr. Storrs, we have Jamison Andes, Mavis Roy, Lauren Mararo, Kylie Kingsley, and Kendall Trezowski. From Wamsutta Middle School, with Ms. Johnson, we have Joshua Walker, Violet Schlick, Molly Davis, and Pedro Silva Rodriguez. From Hill Roberts, with Mr. Poor, we have Theodore Gustafson and Evelyn Martin.
You're welcome.
From Hyman Fine, with Ms. Porto, we have Bavicia Dasari and Isabella LeBlanc. Mr. Larson again has Studley Elementary School, Johanna Sene Charles and Harrison O'Donnell. I like that Patriot sweatshirt, Harrison. Thatcher Elementary School with Mr. Frappier, Bryn Murphy, and Chloe Cusson. Awesome. And Willett Elementary School with Mr. Bennett, Sophia Rivera Fluck, and Nora Clegraff. Congratulations again to all of the students for sharing your artwork with us, and thank you to the parents for letting your students be recognized and share their artwork with us. Something I'd forgotten to mention in my comments, Ms. Regan, we also have artwork on display, or will soon, at the Attleboro Public Library, correct?
Yes, we will have it at the Attleboro Library. We're in the process of putting it all together.
Awesome. So if you aren't able to come here to celebrate the artwork of the district, please stop by the library and see what's on display there. So thank you all very much for coming, and enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll pause. We'll pause momentarily to let everyone head out the door. We won't go to a full recess.
Way to go, Nora.
Should we get names?
Yeah, my good sister right here.
That's it.
So let me show you where my concern is. If you look at Willow, this is current, right? So currently, in kindergarten, they have 2 seats open. In fourth grade, they have 3 seats open. Next year, we have 2 openings. No classrooms.
That's the red right.
there's other buildings where you could, like, so I can understand what they're doing.
So as most of the folks are out, we'll go ahead and continue our agenda. The next item on our agenda is our Student Advisory Council update. And for that, I will turn it over to Representative Ayesi Yenga.
Okay. So in terms of athletics, our winter sports have had a strong start with our gymnastics, track and field, basketball, swimming, cheer, and hockey teams. Our boys team had a win. Our boys basketball team had a win last Friday against Franklin. And then I also wanted to shout out the student athletes of the month, Ava Doherty for swim, and then Brody Wolf for hockey. For student government, the junior and senior class councils have begun preparing for the talent show, the Bombardier Crown. This week we opened up signups for auditions, and next week auditions will be held, and the show will be on Thursday, February 12th at 6 p.m. The senior class council has also begun our prom and senior week events, and prom is going to be held in early April. And then Student Council is working diligently on their Excellence Book, which is a presentation to the Massachusetts Association of Student Councils. And then in terms of student life, the Future Focus Club has begun their College from the Student Perspective Xbox series. They've also scheduled alumni visits for the current age of students to hear from alumni who are in different career and college paths. And then I also am planning an event with marketing and future focus that is sort of like a career exploration for business accounting and finance, and also in collaboration with the Massachusetts Society of CPAs. And then for our CTE program, we have 2 cosmetology seniors, Ellie and Kenzie, who have begun to work on their applications for their cosmetology licenses. I'm pretty sure they've sent them in already, and they're just waiting to hear back, and they're going to take the tests a month from when they receive their confirmation, and then after they pass, they'll be officially able to work in salons outside of school, and the rest of our class is close behind in hours and will begin sending in their applications.
Special shout out to Coach Hool for his 400th career victory last week as well. Any questions or comments for the Student Advisory Council? All right, seeing none. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from both our December 15th, 2025 and January 6th, 2026 meetings. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments, edits related to the minutes from both meetings? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is our superintendent's report, and for that, I will turn it over to Superintendent Sawyer.
Thank you, Chairman. First, I'd like to circle back to a point that was made in open forum at our last meeting. I wanted to express appreciation for the commentary that Mr. Kerr provided on the difference between student records and public records. It's actually helpful because as there's been an increased interest in public records requests, there's been some confusion, I think, on the parts of some families, and I thought that his commentary was actually quite helpful. I think some people have mistaken the two, and I think it's important to clarify that student records are, by the nature of their confidentiality, not public records. Therefore, they are not subject to public records requests and are not the correct way that families would gain access to student records, which belong to the students, and therefore families have every right to be able to access. That's a different process, and I would encourage that anyone that has questions about how to do that to reach out to schools, and they'd be glad to help provide that, because again, that's a right and one that we absolutely respect. I know the committee has questions about practices around restraint in the district, and so this evening I have asked Mr. Heel, our compliance officer, to join us to provide a little bit more information.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. So to support our upcoming changes to the DESI timeout regulations, the Attleboro Public Schools did apply for the DESI timeout regulation and compliance and technical assistance grant. That application was submitted by the required deadline of November 13th, 2025. The application was submitted, and we are potentially going to be awarded $50,000. While we have not heard back yet, we are hopeful to hear back in early February to late February. The purpose of this grant is to support district efforts to prepare for the updated regulation changes. This will include continued training, proactive focused practices, and monitoring of district-wide practices. If awarded, the grant would support district-wide prevention and implementation efforts, including district-wide staff training that includes de-escalation, mental health first aid training and instructional materials, in alignment with district-wide practices. This funding would allow us to deepen work already underway. I will return to school committee in February to provide an update on the grant and additional information about the steps we have taken to prepare for the new regulations. Just wanted to update everyone. I know there was question on whether or not we had applied for the grant, and we have.
Any questions for Mr. Heel while he's here as it relates to compliance or the grant? And oh, sorry, Mr. Domenici.
Well, first off, thank you for giving us an update. I was hopeful that we had applied for the grant. I had a constituent reach out, so it'll be refreshing if they're not already watching the meeting to find out that we've at least put our name in the hat for that. Another question that has come up, and I know that this is within your purview, you've spoken to us at Teaching and Learning before, it's about data collection.
Yes.
When we start talking about recording the number of restraints. My understanding on the DESI website, there's some limitations to the data that's there because of the specificity of what they look for when they put the information out there. Typically around maybe repeat offenders, and I don't know, that's not the right way to put it, but if a child has had to be restrained more than once, or things of that nature. So some of the schools have some numbers, some of them don't, but I imagine you are collecting more realistic looking numbers that we can, eventually get into. And more importantly, based upon the discussion that we have from your discussion about safe cap, and did I get that right? Safe cap?
Say that again?
The
Safety care?
safety care.
Yeah.
I always call it safe cap. Safety care and those measures. I'm hoping, and you can please confirm if I'm on the right track. Will we be able to take a look at some numbers and kind of see over the last few years, like how the practices that we're implementing, what the effects are, hopefully positive effects of seeing numbers reduce?
Yeah, I've put together data going back to 2001, 2022, through this year currently. The stuff on the DESI website currently doesn't have the 24, 25 data, but we do have our own internal data for that year to compare us to those other years, not to our DART schools for 24, 25, but we do have data from 21, 22 through 2024 to look at us compared to other schools, as well as comparing ourselves year to year based on how we're doing. So I will be able to provide the committee with a full report using data to see a clear picture of where we are and where we're heading.
Yeah, and like I had said at our December 15th meeting, I think that's a perfect item for the Teaching and Learning Subcommittee's meeting tomorrow night. So I know that is on the agenda, and Mr. Heel will be there to provide some of that information. So the full committee will hear that at our January 26th meeting as part of that subcommittee report.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions related to the grant? Excellent. Anything else, Mr. Heel?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, one of the more important things coming at us in the coming months is that we need to conduct a search for the next principal of Attleboro High School. And for an update on that process, I'll turn it over to Ms. Regan.
Thank you, Superintendent Sawyer. First, the posting for the position will go up on Friday, this Friday, January 16th. It will stay open until February 6th. The committee has been selected, and it includes a representative group of educators, administrators, and community members to be a part of that team. And Mr. Domenici is the representative from the committee. The initial screening committee will begin on January 29th, and we'll be conducting interviews upon our return back from February break. And we hope to be able to provide the opportunity for candidates selected to visit the school and to meet with some staff and students. And then we hope to be able to close up the process by the end of March, beginning of April, so that we'll be able to share, hopefully, the name of the individual who will be the next Attleboro High School principal. I did want to share that we're grateful for Mr. Levis's tenure here with us. He definitely has provided consistency and stability over this past year, and so we're grateful for his continued support through, not only through this process, but throughout this entire year.
Any questions related to the high school search?
Just
Mr. Storrs?
I'm sorry, did you say when it was posted or will be posted?
It'll be posted this Friday, and it'll close on February 6th.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Storrs. Any other questions related to the principal search? All right. Thank you, Ms. Regan.
And then finally, as the committee knows, we are planning for a joint meeting with the municipal council for January 26th. Couple things about the change in time of year that I just wanted to express both to the committee and to the community at large. One, that's usually around the time of the cherry sheet. So in terms of planning, what kind of numbers we're going to be using, we wanted to say that, if we continue to use that date, which is I think the intention moving forward, it's always going to be a little bit of a hit or miss in terms of whether or not that data is available at that time. In fact, this year we've been given some intel to make us think that the cherry sheet's going to actually come out on the 28th, so after that meeting. But from the administration's perspective, this doesn't really change much of anything. When the cherry sheet comes out, we certainly get a number that from there you can pretty much guess, pretty within reason what our number is going to be. We believe that the presentation should be about much more than just the number. And, as I said, we can already anticipate where we're going to be to a certain degree. So from the administration's perspective, in thinking about the opportunity that the joint meeting presents for us, we've decided that we want to rebrand that presentation as a State of the Schools report and use it as an opportunity to do a better job of telling the story to the community at large and using the audience of the larger forum to provide some basic details about what the schools do, who we serve, and the work that we're engaged in. In these meetings, we're often, in the weeds and reporting to an audience who is well-versed in what we're doing. I think the idea of having the council, which is less familiar and isn't necessarily on top of the day-to-day, to use that opportunity to tell them a bit more about, again, what the schools are in reality and the challenges that we face and the work that we're doing, we think would be helpful to help to broaden their perspective on, what is, in the end, the lion's share of the city's expenditures.
Thank you. And I think it's a good transition, especially given the fact that the cherry sheet is coming out a little later than expected. It seems like the last few years the release has been later and later, and part of why we decided on the last Monday in January was because even if it comes out later, we'll still probably get it by then, and sure enough, they pushed it back further. But to your point, it is much more about the dollar amount and just sharing with the community all the work how that dollar amount impacts the students in ways that the community may not necessarily know. Any questions related to the joint meeting for Mr. Domenici?
Yeah, just one, and I had mentioned it, I think, before, but considering that you might be doing a little rebranding in advance of that meeting, I'm just asking the administration if, as soon as possible, those materials could be sent to our colleagues on the city council so that they have some time to take a look at it coming in and not be looking at it for the first time.
Yeah, so we're
Meeting.
preparing all of our data to be able to share with both the committee and the council ahead of the meeting. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments related to the joint meeting? All right.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Sawyer. Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. I will entertain a motion for all items as one, unless anyone has any concerns or would like anything singled out.
So moved.
Well, I gotta read it first.
Oh, sorry.
You got excited. I get
Oh, we
it.
had to do it first.
A motion to accept a donation in the amount of $2,000 from the Feinstein Foundation to Hill Roberts Elementary School. Motion to accept the donation, motion to accept the $400 donation from the School Saver Program to Attleboro High School. Motion to accept an anonymous donation in the amount of $250 to the boys basketball program at Attleboro High School. Motion to accept an anonymous donation in the amount of $250 to the boys basketball program at Attleboro High School. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $72.66 from Chipotle for the class of 2027. Motion to accept a contractual obligation in the amount of $42.30 from Bay State Textiles to Hill Roberts Elementary School. Motion to accept a contractual obligation in the amount of $75.30 from Bay State Textiles to Hill Roberts Elementary School. Motion to accept a contractual obligation in the amount of $47.25 from Planet Aid as broken down in the check receipt dated December 11th, 2025. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $2,700 from the Feinstein Foundation to Brennan Middle School. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $2,700 from the Feinstein Foundation to Hyman Fine Elementary School. And a motion to accept a donation in the amount of $129 from Box Tops for Education to Brennan Middle School.
So moved.
Excuse me.
Any questions or comments related to the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item is our subcommittee reports, and for that, I will turn it over, for the Finance and Budget Subcommittee, I will turn it over to the re-elected chair, Mr. Larson, for a report on their January 7th meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the Finance and Budget Subcommittee meeting did meet last Wednesday on the 7th. As the chairman just mentioned, I was elected chair. After that, we went through the monthly budget reports, and at this point, the budget is performing as expected. So at this time, there are no major issues for us to report going forward. We did start a conversation after that about fee for service and the update. This will be coming later on in the spring, having to do with the transportation fee for service, so there'll be more discussions at the committee level, and then we'll bring forward a motion if there's any issues that we need to adjust for next year. The bulk of our meeting we spent continuing our discussions about redistricting, and before I open it up to the committee, I just want to go over a few things. This is project that we asked the administration to bring forward to us over a year ago. So that is a process that's been going on for quite a length of time. The Lab Council operations has done a huge job putting all of this together with Brittany to get us to the point that we're at. The goals for this redistricting process was to reduce the possibility of overcrowding at all of our elementary schools and our middle schools. Currently, we're moving just over 80 students around the district that we shouldn't be moving. They should just be in their normal neighborhood schools. But because of the fact that we are very tight in a lot of the schools, as new people show up to the district, we don't always have open places for them in the schools that they should be going to. So we have a spot open on the other side of town, And so that's what we've been moving them. So, that's one of the goals that we wanted to address. We've always thought that students should be closer to the schools than further away. We've wanted to balance out as best we can the populations at the elementary schools and the middle schools. Part of this process was evaluating the buildings and coming up with what the capacity of each one of those buildings really should be going forward. We never, we kind of knew what they were, but we've never really, sat and done the actual calculations on the space, what we're doing in each building, and the best way to use those buildings. So part of this process was to do that evaluation. And lastly, also, we're wasting money. We need to save some money, obviously, and we're currently using money that we shouldn't be spending on transportation, moving people around the city further away from their homes. Now, with this, we also knew there were going to be problems, challenges, and concerns. Where we currently are, we have identified about 200 students that are going to be impacted by this move over the 8 different buildings and over the 8 different grades that are involved. We knew that families would have concerns if their students are getting moved. I think most of us have been parents at one point of school-age children and certainly appreciate having somebody get moved at one point in their career and all of a sudden having to get moved to another school. The challenge is, while we certainly understand the impact of, how this is going to relate to people today and tomorrow, but we also have to adjust what we're doing to set ourselves up positively for the next 5 to 7 years. If the district continues to grow at roughly 2%, we have to have a plan for that. We can't just keep kind of winging it. We understand that everyone's not going to be happy, but we also can't keep doing things as the status quo. For those of you affected, we have certainly heard you. We had people let us know after the presentation that we did in the Bray Auditorium a few weeks ago. We've continued to hear from parents since then. There were some of us that actually met with some people involved at the middle school level, even up to today, and wanted to make sure that those people felt that their concerns were being heard, and they are. And, if there was a perfect way to do this, we would certainly love to do that. But it's very difficult for us to make adjustments for a small group of people when we have a conflict with so many people in the district. It's been pointed out to us that by doing this, we're going to be in conflict with one of our family engagement goals. But we also have a financial obligation to the whole city. We run on tax dollars. And so sometimes we do end up getting in conflict with the goals that we've set for ourselves that we try to live up to, and the reality of we only have so many dollars and we have to make sure that we're using them responsibly. Please understand that we have tried to keep everybody's thoughts in our minds through this whole process. But as I've said, there is no perfect solution to make everyone happy. I know many of you have questions, and so I'll open it up at this point to the committee for any questions, and I'm going to invite Ms. Perella to come up to the table to help explain some of the...
I'm going to bring the chair of the O&I committee, Kevin DiBiase, as well, just to help answer some questions.
Thank you very much for coming. You guys have done an amazing job. I want to make sure that I continue to say that over and over, because we could not have done this without the council's input. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Geddes.
I was just going to ask if the administration, specifically Ms. Perella, has any additional feedback or details that kind of could supplement.
Bill kind of stole my thunder there, and he hit on a lot of the key points. I just wanted to point out that we have gone through this many times. We went, there's about 5 or 6 different iterations of what these boundaries look like. So we tried every possible scenario to see what was the best outcome for the community and for our students. So a lot of thought went into this. We thought about how it's going to impact families, how it's going to impact our staff and our students. So It wasn't something that we took lightly. It was something that we did put a lot of time and effort into. So, yeah, so it wasn't something that we just like threw a dart at the board and like, oh, that's where the boundary line is going to be for today. So it was very data driven. So I just wanted to call that out.
Go ahead, Mr. Suarez. I know you have, I think you told me 302 questions.
I have a lot, but I've already shared a bunch with Brittany. We've been going back and forth for the last week or two.
I'm going to interrupt you at that point,
Yeah,
because I would
please.
encourage all of us, because there are questions that we can answer tonight, and there's certainly questions that we can continue to research and get back to everybody with every question that we have in front of us.
So, my first question has to do with the Mass General Law when it comes to square footage required for every student. Special needs students, there's requirements, there has to be more space available per student. It's right here. MGL 71B, Section 10, 603, CMR 18.00. I think it says like 35 square feet for general student, and I think it goes up an extra 10 square feet for a special needs student. From the spreadsheet that you provided, it looks like, and from our conversation, that what the vendor did was they just said, okay, the contract says 25 students for kindergarten, 26 students max for first grade, and 28 students for every other grade. And they set the classroom sizes based on that, the max classroom sizes. Did they look at did they go in and actually take measurements? And, because I did ask for that data, but I wasn't given it yet, which is, what is the square footage of each classroom in each school that we're talking about here? And is it meeting the Mass General Law?
Yeah, so all of our classrooms are meeting those standards. They did go and they toured each of the buildings to see what the layouts look like, how we're utilizing that space. A lot of our classrooms are already populated, so we know what the classroom sizes can and can't hold there. So yes, we've gone through, they've extensively researched our schools to see if there's a class space or an office that should have been a classroom or vice versa. So the numbers of sections or available classrooms that you were seeing on that chart is based on them going through our layouts and our plans and making sure that that's adequate.
So I just got to verify, are you saying that every one of the classrooms that is in the spreadsheet that you just referenced meets Mass General Law? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm just going to interrupt you. Just in the information that was sent out to everybody, the number of students in each classroom, and please correct me if I say this incorrectly, that total is inclusive of the number of students if at some point, any point during the day, there are students that get included in that class as part of the inclusion process. So while you might look at a room that's got 22 students in there all day long, at some point during the day, or if the other students join those 22 for a special or for something else, we've added those people to that class count number, so that even though it may say, 25, if you went and looked, it might be 22, but we have to accommodate for the fact that at some point, the other students will be joining the 22 too.
Okay. Yeah, I got to admit, that wasn't clear in the spreadsheet. When I saw 22, it looked like that's 22 students who are, over the course of a day, in the classroom. So you're saying that's not necessarily the facts.
There's just a lot of variables that,
interesting.
they've had to work into the number. So I guess that's
It should have been included in that report document that was in there, but yeah, so if there's a sub-separate program at a school, those numbers, because they have to be integrated in for specials and that kind of thing, and they always want to integrate them back into the classroom as well. So there's a seat held for them to be able to integrate back in.
So, I'll just get right into the area that I saw really good stuff and where I have concerns. I appreciate that, they looked at the approved projects going around the city. I think that's important for the community to understand. And from what I can see here, there's, I don't know, maybe 15 or so developments that are already approved, that are either ongoing or soon to be starting. The biggest one, of course, is the 754 Newport Ave, which I think that's the Atlantic Gulf one. According to this, that's going to be 306 units, which by the calculations that the vendor used is going to be 108 students, whether, but obviously we understand that that 108 student estimate is spread across grades K through high school. Probably more so towards the lower side, new developments, that kind of thing happens. For elementary, I think we all understand there's one school where those students are going to go. Pretty much that's Hill Roberts. So I did see that you guys went out of your way for Hill Roberts, knowing that that's coming, to change the districts. So 366 homes. I actually went into MapQuest by street and counted how many homes we're talking about for each of the areas in the maps that are being removed or added to a certain elementary school district. So over 350 homes or dwelling, apartments/homes are being taken away from Hill Roberts, and that's good because we know that there's going to be a big influx by the developments that are in process. So that's great work right there. The one place that I'm really concerned is Willett, and you and I have already started our conversation on that. Of all the schools, it's the smallest one. The other schools are all 19 classrooms for K through 5, K through 4, or 20, 19 or 20, and then that one's 15. So it's already the smallest school. And it looks like, and we were talking about this the other day through the email, it looks like for Willett, let me find it here. We're adding 340-ish homes to Willett, but removing nothing. So they're already pretty much maxed out. And I think that's important for everybody to know, is that of the number of classrooms that are available from the data that was provided, there's 0 non-used classroom. I think this year there might be 1 in one school, but starting next year, every single one of those 19, 20, or at Willett 15 are being used. That doesn't mean that they're fully packed. It just means that every classroom is going to be utilized, which means there's no additional classrooms. So in any one grade, if we get to the point where we go above that contractual max, we're stuck.
So part of the projections have those developments incorporated into it. So we've fluctuated based on that and where the student population is going to be moving to. So we've accounted for those students. There was a section, I think it was like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th Street was moving to Studley, I believe, from Willett.
Yep.
So
There was okay. It
Yeah.
wasn't clear on the map.
Okay.
So there is a small,
there's a small area that is moving
okay, from out of Willett into
to
Studley.
Studley.
Okay, yeah, the map didn't show that at all, based on the black border and the colored section. So my worry was looking at the current status of Willett, which is every single classroom is fully being utilized. And in kindergarten, there's only 2 available spots. So probably 1 in 2 classrooms. There's 1 available spot there, 1 available spot there. And if we all of a sudden got 3 new kindergarten students that should go to Willett, we'd be in a difficult spot. Fair statement. Projections from the vendor shows that that's going to become even worse come next year, where there's going to be multiple grades with the same problem. 2 grades, I think. My worry is that we're adding so much to Willett by this redistricting, taking away from what you just said, very little. But then we also have Briggs Crossing, 149 Pleasant, 15 North Main, and 135 County Street, all developments that are going to add an additional 117 homes, which per the calculations from the vendor is 24 more students going into Willett. So you're taking the smallest school, putting in, let's say, 300 new homes, plus another 117 homes from the new developments that are going to be coming. Are we looking at this?
Well, so the difficult part, and you and I have chatted about this, is you're looking at homes.
Yeah.
And we had to look at students. And because that's.
And the vendor did a calculation of homes to the students.
The vendor, has made that evaluation. The vendor worked with the planning department to see what land they thought was going to be developed in the upcoming future and what was already permitted. So while there are a number of homes that are being added to Willett, it's a very densely populated part of the city. We were strictly looking at the student count. Now, it's hard to estimate where future students are going to be coming from. So that is part of the challenge of the process, for sure.
And I will say, I do appreciate, this is on the positive side for Willett, is that they took a section that's really close to Willett right now that's going to Studley, and that's the section that they took away, about 340 homes, and they're giving it to Willett. And that's really, we're talking 3 blocks away from Willett right now is going to Studley. So that, I think, was necessary and is a good thing.
Well, Studley and Willett are certainly a challenge, because as the crow flies, they're only 3/4 of a mile apart from each
Right.
other.
So I think it's great that you're taking that section right there that is so close to Willett and putting it into Willett, but by not taking anything else significant away, my concern is we're already so close to being maxed out, and now from the numbers, we're adding over 300 homes, and we have 117 homes of development happening in the works. And looking at the projections that the vendor provided, next year there's a couple of classrooms where there's only room for 2 students. Yep, so next year, Willett, kindergarten and first grade, there's only room for 2 students each. The following year, they have, Willett, they have 4 students in kindergarten, 2 students in first. My point is, year after year after year, we're already gonna be so tight at Willett. And now, if you take into account the developments, I'm just very concerned that we're going to go above the contractual max.
So Willett, we paid a lot of attention to Willett because it's just where it is and within the city. A lot of it's the timing of when the developments are planned to be complete, and then how those students are gonna progress through their school career. So they might not all still be at the elementary school level while those new developments come in and new students coming in. So there's a lot of give and take there. So we have paid a lot of attention to what those movements look like. So I feel confident with the projections and how we've planned that out, specifically for Willett, just because that's where our bubble was. That's where all of our school fulls were coming from, so.
I have to believe that you guys have done your due diligence and you've looked at exactly what I'm concerned about. The way you could, help settle me, I guess, a little bit is, if we did get to a situation, whether it's next year, the year after, or whenever, where we met the contractual limit, say kindergarten of 25 students for every single classroom, for all 3 of the classrooms, or 26 students for first grade at all 3 of those classrooms, how do we deal?
Well, I think part of that, we would have to evaluate the other grades in that building. There's been a number of times, that you and I have been on the committee, that sometimes buildings start off with the idea of having 3 kindergartens. And by the time school starts, there's 4. And sometimes we, go back the other way around.
The problem is, looking at the projections, it looks like every single classroom is going to be used
And
for the other grades.
Yes, and, we have this same issue, and again, one of the goals in the whole process that we've asked the administration to do is to properly identify how many people can we put in each building, because we are getting close.
Yeah.
We're getting close all across the city. So
That's why I'm so worried about
if we continue
Willett.
to grow at 2 to 3%, we're
So,
going to have some other discussions we're
so
going to have to make.
again, I think the question is, if we did get to a point where every single one of the classrooms is being used in the building, which projection-wise it looks like it will, and we get to the point where we're maxed out contractually for, say, kindergarten or first grade, or even any of the other grades, which is higher student count, how would we deal with that? Would we try to take like that 1 extra student and move them to Studley? Or would we do something different?
I think it would have to be like on a case-by-case basis on, who the individual student is. And I feel like the projections that they provided us were very comprehensive, and we can certainly go back to the vendor too and ask them to take another look, just to ensure.
I think that might be good, yeah.
Just to ensure that the projections that they provided are, exactly as they anticipate. But I think that's what it is, right? They're projections. And
Okay.
so we're trying to make a decision on something that is 5 to 7 years out, and we're looking more at the stability and the balance of the schools, as Mr. Larson said, over time, and that's really what we're looking for. So we can certainly go back.
Yeah, I think I'd appreciate that. Again, the Willett is the one place of all the data where I do have those concerns.
Fully understand. It was a tough area to kind of manipulate just because of where the school is and where the dense
You
population
got
is.
that whole corner of the city, and it all goes to Willett, so I get it. I do. All right, thank you.
Mr. Domenici, are you?
I just wanted to say, I appreciate all the work and the effort that's gone in. had a couple of constituents raising concerns, one on one path about not wanting their child moved and others wanting their children moved. So it's been on both ends, and I know it's a small percentage, but for those folks, that's the larger. And just to say, like, looking at the maps, like, you know, our Ward 3 and our Ward 4 areas could potentially be areas for future development, and it's hard to gauge what that's going to be. And I'm sure that the committee took their best efforts to try to sort that out. We have the list of known projects, but we don't know what else is coming. And to that degree, we also don't know what else is coming in the middle of our city when there's a lot of talk about building, you know, more apartments in the downtown area to bring in more foot traffic. So I just wanted to just say thank you, and it's not gonna be perfect, as everyone says, but it's 28 years overdue. And hopefully what this means going forward is that we're gonna be doing this assessment every 5 to 7 years to keep ourselves honest, so that we don't have this kind of delay in the future.
And to your, Mr. Domenici, to your point of Ward 3 and Ward 4, I mean, part of the interview process that I know the consultant and the council went through in discussing with the planning department was, what parts of the city potentially did the planning department think could be developed in the future? And, you know, not that you can, you know, it's hard to count on something that somebody thinks might happen. But, you know, again, it's a consideration to, you know, one more piece that goes into the mix. And, you know, what do we need to be on the lookout for?
I'm going to add one piece.
Yep, certainly.
So, you know, we were doing a lot of discussing about the contractual maximum because it relates to what we were just talking about. You know, kindergarten 25, first grade 26, and every other grade 28. I don't want anybody to believe that that's what, I don't speak for everybody, I'm sure everybody would agree, that's not what we think is the best for the students. You know, I've always believed that kindergarten should be more like 20 students if we could ever do that. Obviously, we have those difficulties because of space and teachers and all those other things. But I just want to put it out there that we're not supporting the idea that 25 students in every single kindergarten is the best option, or 26 students in first grade. We want class size to be as small as possible, but as you can see, the difficulty of what we're working with.
Correct. I mean, and that's exactly it. There's realities as to what we can do physically. There's realities to what we can do financially. And what we're trying to do in this process is maximize both of those against each other and doing everything we possibly can to keep in mind the fact that every decision we make is going to have an impact on a student and a family, and they might not like it. And so,
Thank you.
Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I also wanted to state about how appreciative I am of how data-driven and fact-driven this was. My memory may not be 100% correct, but, and correct me where I'm wrong, but I believe that they had metrics for different types of dwellings and what percentage of those dwellings typically house students. And we have different types of dwellings in different areas, about the future projections as well and the current projections. So definitely wanted to thank you for all of that. You know, it's unfortunate that it took us so long to get to this point, you know, competing priorities, et cetera. But I'm so glad that we got to this point so that we can make the most efficient use of things such as transportation and reinvest those dollars elsewhere into education or facilities as needed. Again, competing priorities. So again, thank you for this. Definitely looking forward to any additional information that you may be able to provide to us to make that final decision. But I think this is a really good thing, and I'm glad that we have the intent to do this on a more frequent basis on the go forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the projections are good for up to 5 years, and then we should revisit it again to see what that looks like going forward, because the further you project out, the harder it is to kind of estimate what that looks like. So to keep on to like a 5-year schedule to kind of just take a look at what this looks like every 5 years, I think it would be really great to mitigate any of the issues that we've had for the 20-plus year.
Mr. Bennett?
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank Mr. Storrs for his rigorous and detailed analysis. I have a,
Wouldn't expect anything other than.
I personally have a keen appreciation for people who can derive meaning from large volumes of numbers, because I completely lack the ability to do that. I wanted to touch on some of the comments that were put in the spreadsheet. Among them heavily was a desire for walkability. And I think that's lovely, because I grew up in a world where you walked to school. Not uphill both ways, I won't claim that, but we did walk a couple of miles around Attleboro every day to school. And I think that with most of the schools, it's pretty reasonable to expect that if you are within the walking distance of the school, you'll walk there or be able to walk there, whether your parents want to drive you or however you actually get there is up to families. But I know that with Willett and Studley, because they are so close, it's particularly difficult, right? Now, like, I used to live on 4th Street, and my kids walked to Willett. And I think that 4th Street is moving to Studley. But is it still in the walking distance from Studley? I'm not entirely sure. Do you know?
Not sure offhand, I'd have to check to see.
I think as a general standard, if a house is within the walking distance of a school, they ought to go to that school. For one, it gets us off the hook for running a bus, right? And two, it gives kids the opportunity to see Attleboro and walk around and have adventures and go to school, like, you know. So that's just a suggestion that I have, that if your house is within walking distance of a school, you ought to be at that school. Now, there are probably houses that are within walking distance of 2 schools, in which case we get to decide. Right? Another thing is, given that some of the schools are already going to be close to capacity, I was hoping that this would yield some magical, massive headroom in all the schools, and that we had one that was so oversubscribed and everything would balance out like it does in the computer world. And I know that doesn't really work that way. It sounds like this might be something we need to do. We may need to plan to do on a 10-year basis, or at some reasonable. And not just wait till, oh my God, we got a real problem, right? We may want to do this. We want to go through this activity.
Now, one of the recommendations from the vendor is for a more timely, and Brittany kind of talked about this being a 5-year process every.
Oh, good.
To
Right.
review, because to your point, it can get out of control quickly. And if we're not on the lookout, it can, it's taken us over a year to get to this point.
Right.
And we're still 6 months away from having it fully implemented, so.
And the more often it's done, I'm imagining, particularly if we like the same vendor and we use them over and over again, it should hopefully maybe be a little less expensive.
Yeah, would hope.
You can always dream.
Related to Aaron.
The other comment that I had was that as this becomes more public, I would expect more people to reach out to city councilors too. So, Mr. Sawyer, it may be worth putting on your agenda for, especially if the meeting in 2 weeks is going to be a state of the schools meeting, would be a good time to work some information about the redistricting process. And the last thing I had is regarding kindergarten sizes and any class size. If people feel that the class sizes are too small, are too large, and we have too many kids in them, and I think it's pretty clear that 25 kids is not an optimal kindergarten size, I would suggest you tune in 2 weeks when Mr. Sawyer shows the budget situation and the underfunding that the school has. Because that is the answer to how, if you want 20 kids in a kindergarten classroom, find the money, and I think the schools would happily do that. So that's all I have, and thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond. So looking at what was provided by the maps, currently all those streets, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, Prospect, Jefferson, Jackson, all of those are currently in Studley. That's part of that 300 or 260 dwellings that are being moved into Willett, and that is absolutely walking distance. So
They're moving back. Okay,
what-
so they
from
must have
what I-
moved over?
Going from, are they in Willett right now? They would be going
from what I
from
see,
Willett to
they're
Studley.
in,
It's
from
a
the
s-
maps,
I
they're
wasn't
in
sure from
Studley
looking
and
at that
going to
map.
Willett.
I'll double check what you
They're in
have.
that section, that little additional section that's being added to Willett.
Yeah, that 1st through 4th Street is all Studley. So I don't know if
Studley, right? Right?
it's going to be Studley.
It's this section right here.
If it's not currently, it will be Studley.
Well, not according to this map.
The map you're looking at, Mr. Storrs, up at the top, it says solid color is the new zone. So that is.
Oh, then I'm reversed, sorry, yes, yes. So, yeah, reverse what I just said. It's.
Right, it's
so-
going the
so-
other way,
So
which
that
is
is a
what
great
jives
question.
with what
Is
I
that new
thought.
section busable or is that walkable? Because, so we're actually, so take back what I said earlier. I was like, oh, I thought it was great how we took a section so close to Willett that's not going to Willett and we're moving them to Willett, but we're actually doing the opposite. So what they're saying is this section right here, within a block away from Willett, is being moved to Studley.
Well, it was such a
Right.
tough district that it was hard to move a substantial amount of students out without it not being a close area
Okay.
to Willet, you know what I mean? So it was a really tough one to work through.
Because Willett is so small, and we needed to.
Outline is the original zone. The
I'm
solid
actually gonna,
color
I'm
is the
I'm gonna
new zone.
ask you to go
Okay.
chat with Ms.
Just to
Brown,
verify
because-
for the map,
Oh.
it says here, outline is the original zone. That's the nice way to say current zone. So the black line is the current zone. So the color is the new zone.
I'm not, it might be reversed, but that section is definitely going to
Because
Studley.
I'm looking right now, that, the additional color for Willett, the purple color that's outside of the black area, is the streets that we're talking about.
Why don't you,
I'll bring it
I
over.
can definitely verify the map with
meantime-
you after.
Let's just verify.
Thank you, Mr. Larson, and I agree that I appreciate Mr. Storrs looking so carefully at this, and I think a couple of pieces of context. One,
right now, so the
um,
map is wrong.
No, right now.
this is
The other way.
we're finally at this stage. It was something that was initially discussed about 10 years ago as part of a much larger considered initiative that didn't just look at redistricting. It looked at reassigning grades to different schools based on the facilities that currently exist. And I think, and part of the reason we were delayed in getting a proposal from the administration and from the consultant, to Mr. Storrs' point, is because every time they thought they were ready, something changed in some of the projections, and it caused them to shift a neighborhood or two. And I think right now we're trying to find a 2025 solution to a problem that inadvertently started in 1975. Because that's the last time we built an elementary school. We haven't, other than Willett, and some addition to Studley in the 90s, we have not done significant renovations to most of our elementary schools. And so what was, I mean, all of us can identify somewhere around our homes where there was a house on what used to be a farm that is now 6 houses that are single-family dwellings, to your point. And so, so between 5 elementary schools in an already megaphone-shaped city, some of which are very close to each other, and parts of the city are far away from all of them, shifting to make what we have work is very complicated. And as we were leading up to this over the past couple of years, I even talked about how my kids go to the third furthest middle school, and after all of this redistricting and analysis, we're still at the third furthest middle school, just because based on the projections and the number of families and the number of students across the city, it's still the case. And so I'm hopeful, and I believe this is the administration's plan, but I'm hopeful that this is a first step, certainly to identify some transportation. I see multiple buses to that school go by my bus stop that my kids don't go on, and they carry students that live right down the street from us. And so I think this is an important first step to try to make this work. And so I think finding some of those efficiencies now can help us identify some additional efficiencies down the road. But so I'll stop there.
Mr. Frappier?
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to point out that the digital map we have on the redistricting website is very easy to read compared to the documents we have. And it does show 4th Street up to the center of the city is switching from Willett to Studley.
You talking about this map right here?
No, I'm talking about the one on the website that the public can access.
So it's different than the one that we were provided?
Those are a little bit more confusing than the one that's on the website. So just to clarify for the crowd, it is accurate on the website to date. No changes have occurred. And those folks, they are walkable to Studley today. However, given the restrictions we have and the megaphone, I never thought it was a megaphone, which I actually think it's very funny. The size of the city and the shape of it does impact that. And also just to share what walkable actually means, we do have different definitions across the district. From grades 2 to 4, half a mile or closer, you can walk or you can get your own transportation. Grades 5 and 6, it is 1 mile or closer, you can get your own transportation. And the same thing with the high school as well. It's about 1 mile for the older grades, half a mile for the younger grades is considered walkable, ignoring crosswalks, ignoring County Street or North Main. That is strictly door to door, the distance you can expect to take the bus or to walk, or private transit.
So I think going forward, and we discussed this at our organization meeting after we were all sworn in, I would encourage any additional questions. You can certainly reach out to myself. You can reach out to Ms. Perella. There is an incredible amount of information that's all available to the public on the district's website. There's a page for all about redistricting. As Mr. Frappier said, all the maps are there showing you can put in your own address and you can see the impact or lack of impact to your own house. I would encourage everyone to reach out to that website or if you have direct questions, please reach out to Ms. Perella or myself. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. And thank you again to both of you and the entire team for all of the work that went into this. I do think and thank you for all of the data collection and feedback collection from the community that you've done and for sharing that with us. To Mr. Larson's point, I would encourage the community to continue to reach out to us about this. But I think procedurally, we should plan at our January 26th meeting to vote whether or not to approve the proposed boundary changes because the district administration does need a good amount of time to take their next steps.
Yes, very much so. And, you know, it's not only the district has things that we need to do, but we also need to reach out to our transportation vendor. And once this project is approved, work with them to make the appropriate adjustments so that we can notify all the families in an appropriate timetable as to how it's going to be impacted. Chairman, that's the extent of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Larson, and thank you both again. We appreciate it. Next on the agenda is open forum. This is a time when members of the public may address the school committee to provide updates, share information, or express concern on matters within the committee's jurisdiction. All speakers are encouraged to present their comments in a respectful manner. Open forum is not a time for committee members to engage in dialogue with members of the public. Guidelines for open forum are available to you. Please know that we are interested in what you have to say, but cannot respond without background information. Each open forum participant will be given 3 minutes to address the committee. Please come forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Mr. Chairman, there is one member online, so I don't know in which order you would like to do, because we do have 2 people here.
We'll start with the person participating virtually.
All right. Okay. Giving him a second. We should have Mr. Kerr.
Mr. Kerr, can you hear us?
There we go. Good evening. Good evening. You ready for me to start?
Go right ahead.
All right, perfect. So one thing I do want to say is that even though I am participating remotely, I really don't care for the fact that you guys are forcing me to start first. What if I wanted to listen to the other members? If I was an able-bodied person and I was there, I would have the right or the privilege of being able to walk up at the order that I choose. But it seems that this body likes to dictate what disabled people are supposed to do, when they're supposed to talk. Am I supposed to quack like a duck for you guys too? I don't really appreciate that. I should have the choice of listening, going first, going second, going whatever order I so choose. And I don't appreciate being forced to have to talk first when I really wanted to listen to some of the other speakers talk. I wanted to talk after them, but you've taken that choice away from me. I would ask, I would remind you that this could be seen as a prima facie Title II violation. I must ensure that in the future, you guys do give me that option. It is not, I have to talk first and then you guys dictate that I have to talk. I should have the right to wait. And so I just want you to keep that in mind, that some of these things that you guys are doing, you think you're catering to me, you're not. You're not, and I just stop. I'm a big boy. I can kind of, raise my hand to speak when I would like to. But one of the things that I did appreciate tonight was Mr. Sawyer respecting some of my words and what I was talking about last week, trying to educate the public about their right to receive records, especially about their children. And that filing public records requests is not the proper channel, because the municipality, in my case, has repeatedly denied public records requests. I've heard from others that have filed public records requests that you guys cite privacy exceptions or exception C, and you guys refuse to provide records. If the individual parent says, I would like to start the interactive process, use this terminology, I would like a reasonable modification. Under the interactive process, I would like these records. At that point, the municipality doesn't have the ability to say no, right? The FOIA is a federal records request for federal entities. This is a city or a city school. They're not applicable under FOIA. When you're filing a records request under the interactive process, it's not a public records request subject to Massachusetts law. It's under Title II and Section 504 of the ADA. So it supersedes any sort of state exemption that you guys could try to apply. And at that point, it forces you guys to either provide the documents or under the AJT standard, commit a Title II violation by refusing to provide the information and commit a violation of stonewalling the interactive process. So as long as members of the public start really utilizing this, it makes it almost impossible for the school to stop, to not provide records, and they have to.
Mr. Kerr?
Mr. Chairman, that's 3 minutes.
Mr. Kerr, I apologize. That's your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Have a great day, guys.
You too. Is there anyone else that would like to address the committee as part of open forum? Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Jason Alfred, Attleboro, Mass. Let me be clear right out the gate. I'm not here to manage how accountability feels to the people being held accountable. If public scrutiny makes you uncomfortable, that is not a parent problem, that's a governance problem. On November 17th, I came to this podium with a prepared statement. I did not get to finish it. As I was finishing my closing statement, the gavel was struck, not once but repeatedly. That was not neutral timekeeping. That was fear of losing control over what was being said. Despite the gavel, despite attempts to shut it down, the message still got out. The video was shared across various social media platforms. People watched it, and it resonated. December 15th is where things became very clear. The structure changed, the pacing changed, the setup changed. The Director of Special Education, Yvonne Medeiros, was placed front and center. What followed was not clarity, it was word salad. It was obvious she had been prepped on the types of questions that would be coming her way. And despite that preparation, she still stumbled. She fumbled. She talked around answers. That was not nervousness. That was somebody who did not have confidence in her answers. A question was asked by a school committee member about the locks on the timeout room doors. What followed was more word salad. So allow me to give you a straightforward answer tonight, one that was not given then. Timeout rooms may not be equipped with locking mechanisms. Whether a lock is engaged or not, it doesn't matter. If the mechanism exists, it is not permitted. That's it. That's the answer. What I witnessed that night was not a meeting. It was theatrical. It was a performance. It was damage control. And now I understand what secondhand embarrassment feels like, because I had it that night for this school committee and the district leadership. Despite all of that, I still extended an opportunity to work together in good faith to fix these issues. Not one of you followed up. No one reached out. Nothing changed. In closing, I want to be very clear. The parents of this district are not confused. We're not misinformed. We're not imagining this refusal to engage, and we will not be silent. What we've been given by this committee year after year is avoidance and deflection. Parents are sick and tired of this bullshit and will continue to come forward until real change is made. This forum does not exist to protect the comfort of leadership. It exists to protect the children of this district. And don't ever forget that. The truth is not harassment. The truth is protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alfred. Is there anyone else that would like to address the committee as part of open forum? Please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, Joey Ford, founder and leader of Parent Data Force, 44R Smith Street. Good evening. Mr. Storrs, you earned an A tonight. That wasn't just regular, it was critical thinking in action. Keep your fire lit. I really appreciate what I saw here. So first, I want to welcome Mr. Jim Poor to his first official meeting. Thank you for stepping into this important role. I'm looking forward to seeing how you approach the work. I want to briefly reiterate what I raised last time. Public comment should be longer, and it should happen at the beginning of the meeting. When public comment is placed at the end, it becomes symbolic instead of useful. Public input cannot shape outcomes if it's only allowed after the outcome is already functionally decided. And I want to add a second point. I keep seeing a lack of visible deliberation and strategy in front of the public. Too often, administration delivers difficult news, budget constraints, staffing loss, service gaps, insurance increases, etc. And then the committee's response becomes smoothing the message instead of testing it. A concrete example I hear at almost every meeting is a sentence that starts with, "I want the people watching to understand that." That's usually the moment when the committee shifts from oversight to narration. It moves from, "Is this true and what are our options?" to, "How do we make this easier to swallow?" I'm asking you to replace that reflex with visible problem solving, as we saw tonight. Strategy has three parts: a goal, the constraints, and the choices you make to reach the goal within those constraints. If a constraint is real, we can name it. But if constraints are not a conclusion, they are the starting point. Then show the public the choices. What goal are we protecting? What options are on the table? What trade-offs are unacceptable? And what questions are you demanding answers to, and by when? That kind of deliberation builds trust, and it also lets residents see how each elected official thinks. Right now, that window is small, especially because policy subcommittee meetings are not aired on video. If deliberation happens off camera and public comment happens after the fact, the public is left with very little insight into process, reasoning, or accountability. Last year, I publicly graded the committee, and many of you acted on critiques. That did not go unnoticed. I'm asking you to keep improving meeting structure and transparency so that participation is real, not ceremonial, because it ultimately serves children better. Finally, I'm calling for a special public hearing on the restraint and seclusion policy revisions before drafting begins. We've heard substantial concern from families and the community. This deserves focused time, public testimony, and careful deliberation on the record before language is put on paper. And I'll close with 3 yes or no questions because clarity matters. You can respond via email or publicly now if you like. Number 1, at your next regular meeting, will you place an action item to pilot public comment at the beginning of the meeting for 3 meetings? Number 2, will you commit to recording and publishing policy subcommittee meetings going forward? And number 3, will you schedule a public hearing on the restraint and seclusion policy revisions before drafting begins? Thank you.
Mr. Ford. Is there anyone else that would like to address the committee as part of open forum? Seeing none, I will close open forum. Reminders for the community of upcoming events. Tomorrow, Tuesday, January 13th, the ELC is hosting their open house. We will also be hosting the Teaching and Learning Subcommittee here in the Zito Conference Room at 6:30 p.m. Wednesday, January 14th, there is a virtual ACE-PAC meeting at 6:30 p.m. That does require advanced registration. And Ms. Porto,
It's going to be a presentation from the ARC.
Awesome.
Attleboro.
And for anyone that hasn't registered but is interested,
They can, ACE-PAC has it on their website, and I believe Yvonne, Ms. Medeiros sent it out in her email to parents as well.
terrific, thank you. A reminder that this Friday, January 16th, is an early release day for the entire district, except for the ELC, who will not have school at all. Next Monday, January 19th, there is no school in honor of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Our next meeting is the special joint meeting with the Municipal Council at the Bray Auditorium at 6:30 on Monday, January 26th. Any other updates from the committee or information to share at this time? Seeing none, we will be going into executive session. And for logistical purposes, we will go into the superintendent's conference room for executive session. The executive session, the Attleboro School Committee will convene an executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21A, 2 and 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting might have a detrimental effect. Collective bargaining may also be conducted. The committee will not return to open session following the executive session. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. This will be a roll call vote. And since it is his first meeting, I'll start with Mr. Poor. Yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Frappier?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Domenici?
Yes.
Mr. Geddes, yes. Mr. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Storrs?
Yes.
Ms. Porto?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We will go into executive session. Have a great night.